So the 6 hours of spa was yesterday, because we are recording now on Sunday. Whole new structure to the show coming, guys. I'm still working some stuff out. It's a young show. I want this thing to go on for literally years. There won't be a time when AutoTalksUS isn't a thing. I'm in it for the long haul. So just finding a good structure for the show. I think being dedicated at 11 a.m. every time is silly because that's only convenient for the folks here in Texas. We want to, of course, make the show available to everybody around the world. So we're just going to stick to a weekly premiere without really necessarily committing to anything beyond that. So it might premiere where you live at 11 a.m. or it might premiere where I live at 5 or at 12 or where you live at 6. It's going to be fun. You can expect the show to still come out on Sundays because Sundays are, for me, a really great day to publish the episodes. But outside of that, we're going to keep it pretty loose. So we're going to talk about the 6 hours of spa today for a little bit of time because that is just one of the coolest races there is. First of all, spa in and of itself is by far like one of my favorite tracks. Probably to me it is my favorite track because it's just infamous racing from Formula One to every other category. It's never given us boring racing in any category: GT, hypercars, LMP cars, Formula One, anything. So hats off to Ferrari. They of course won. The of course team, Corsa, course, whatever you call it. I'm pretty sure they won the Rolex 24 in their class. If I'm not mistaken, it was either that or Le Mans. I think they won. It was Le Mans. Yeah, 2024. Let me look this up really quick. 2024. I'm like almost known for doing this now, because in the episodes I'll just go, all right, let's look this up. So maybe there will be a segment where it's like let's look this up or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, they scored another victory. That was last year at Le Mans. And then speaking of Le Mans, that's like literally around the corner. So all of the teams that just wrapped up racing yesterday at the 6 hours of Spa are now in the preparation stage for Le Mans. That's the next big thing coming up for them. I'll turn the microphone volume down just a little bit so that it's a little bit more convenient for everybody listening back at home. So, yeah, it is definitely one of those really cool things. I'm a Ferrari guy. You guys all know that. Like, as far as Formula One goes, that is the team that we support here. We're big Charles fans here. So 150 laps completed. That is a 6-hour endurance race at Spa for these hypercars. So it was pretty would I say close? Like, yeah, it's, I mean, couple second gap for Alpine. That's fantastic. I'm not entirely too like up to date as far as who's on every team, just because like I follow Formula One. It's really tough to just be that into it. However, I will say this. There's a good chance, and I'm doing the best I can to have a very special guest on the show, who did participate in yesterday's race in the GT3 category. So those guys have a fantastic story anytime you talk to them. GT3 drivers, the ones that do creep over to prototypes and open wheel, they're also a fantastic bunch. I would talk to all of them for hours. GT3, in my opinion, is one of the coolest categories out there for drivers to get into at a reasonable expectation of reality. And what I mean by that is, if you've driven Cup cars, like if you have experience in Cup cars or you're an SCCA guy, you've already been driving cars that are in a certain class and built out to a certain class, you might already have the fundamentals down. You're in what an enthusiast would consider a race car driver at that point. You might have a SCCA license and you can compete in regular, multi-class events. you're already halfway there. As long as you have the funding, whether you own a business, like a lot of privateer companies are basically successful business owners who want to also experience racing. So you can go that route. You could become an entrepreneur and then take your business and effectively turn it into the funding strategy for your racing, as long as your shareholders are on board and your clients are on board, or if it doesn't matter to you, that's even better, or whatever. But the point being that if you can make that work, and a lot of people do, that's a great way to get into racing. So for me, whether it's the show or something else, that's, in 5 to 10 years, who knows? We might be doing something like that. I think privateer racing is tremendously popular, and there's a reason for it. I'm looking right now at some of the teams that were competing yesterday. These are all private companies for the most part. Mante First Form, Heart of Racing Team, Proton Competition, Team WRT, the Iron Dames, which is of course a female team, Iron Lynx. These are fantastic racing teams, guys. Fantastic racing teams, and some of them have manufacturer support behind them, which is even cooler. I mean, if you've got one of these racing teams and you go out there and you purchase the cars and you run the events, you might have BMW or Porsche behind you. You just never know. So the world of racing is super, super interesting, and all of these things are just fascinating to me to learn. Seeing, I remember this person in Miatas 10 years ago. Now he's in, Le Mans cars, racing at, Daytona 24 or something like that. It's just really, really cool. And that happens all the time. So as far as the GT category goes, Ferrari also took first. I wasn't aware of that until just now. But yeah, Ferrari was in first. You got the Proton Competition Ford Mustang in second place. That's the number 88 car. I've actually seen that car in person. It is so cool to me to see this, because let's break it down a little bit. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Ford versus Ferrari. That movie was based on the relationship between Ford and Ferrari in the 60s, particularly as it pertained to the racing at Le Mans. Ford at one point had wanted to purchase Ferrari because Ferrari was struggling, and Ferrari turned down the offer. So slightly insulted, Ford basically made a commitment to beat them on the track at the biggest race in the world, which is the 24 Hours of Le Mans. So how did they do it? Well, they commissioned a gentleman named Carroll Shelby, my personal hero, to step in and help Ford create a perfect race car. Carroll Shelby, having been a race car driver himself, he was building the Shelby Cobra, which was a convertible sort of, open top car from England that he put a V8 engine into. So they commissioned this gentleman, Carroll Shelby. He used to fly planes in World War II, and he was a chicken farmer from Texas. Carroll Shelby's story in and of itself needs to be an episode on this show, considering he's my hero, but that's neither here nor there. We'll save that for another day. He helped Ford develop the GT40. The GT40 was loosely based on the Lola race car. The Lola is also a Le Mans prototype type deal from the 60s and late 50s. I think the late 50s, but definitely the 60s. And it was totally redesigned. Ford, I think, had the rights to the design concept that they came up with, or maybe the chassis. I don't know the details on the actual design work of the car, but it was his responsibility to make it fast, and it was his responsibility to make it beat Ferrari within a 24-hour race. So that's what they did. They did that in 66 and I believe 67, or maybe it was 65 and 66. I think it was 65, 66, maybe even 67. There were a couple of years that were just iconic for Ferrari, or for Ford, kicking some Ferrari butt. And so right now, as we sit and we look at the results from yesterday's endurance race, Ferrari, Ford, Ferrari, Ford. The first four cars are the two brands, and it's also the two teams. You've got, of course, AF Corsa and then Proton Competition. Now, that is so exciting because we're gearing up for Le Mans. All of these teams are about to start prep work. They're going to be in the simulators training back at home base, wherever Ford's home base is. It might be North Carolina, maybe it's Michigan. I'm not sure where. But they're going to take all this data from 6 hours, plus all the practice days and the qualifying, unbelievable amounts of data from the previous sessions in the season, not just yesterday, but the season up until this point, to really dial it in. And I want so badly for Ford to just crank one out this year, because I predicted it like a year ago. Because Ford won with the in the GTE class back when that was a thing, with the 66 and the 67 car, the two Le Mans cars that won in that class. So that was Ford winning again in that respective top class. I really want it to happen at the 24 Hours of Le Mans this year with the Mustang program. I think that would be great for the people who bought the GTD, which is the street legal version of said car running in the GT3 class. If you look at a GT3 Mustang without any livery package on it, it basically looks like a GTD, but the GTD, of course, is street legal. You could drive it to the grocery store if you wanted to. And yet it's a sub 7-second Nürburgring lap time car. So it's up there with the, for those of you that don't know, you can Google it, the Mustang GTD. It was first teased or sometime when COVID first kicked off. Ford would be coming out with a $300,000 Porsche GT3 RS killer. And everyone was just kind of like, how is a Mustang going to be $300,000? And then second question, how do you plan on beating the GT3 RS, which is a street legal car around the Nürburgring? That is the dominant car. So how do you plan on doing that? Well, how do you plan on doing that? It's very simple. They took basically the Mustang platform, so just the shape of essentially, and then threw everything else away. So you have a very, very low sitting engine. It's a 5.2 or a 5.4. I think it's a 5.2 liter. Let me see. It's supercharged. It makes like 800 horsepower. I'm pretty sure it's a 5.2, but yeah, okay, cool. So it's a 5.2. It's supercharged. It's basically a GT500 engine, just tuned up to the max. The engine actually has its own name. I don't remember what they're calling it, but it does have its own name, just like all the other ones like Voodoo and everything else. So it makes 815 horsepower. And what's really cool about the Mustang GTD is when I worked at Classic Recreations, the Mustang performance shop in Dallas, Texas here, they in their Cobra design incorporated a cantilever, an inboard mounted cantilever suspension in the rear. So if you can think, basically, if you take your forearms and you make an X with your forearms, that's what the suspension looks like, and it's mounted inside the car. So instead of mounted vertically, X-board the car in the corners like a normal car suspension, these in the back specifically are mounted like in that X formation with the struts kind of pointing out and down. So they're inboard mounted, and it really, really helps just stabilize the rear end in the middle of the corner. And you can see it. There's a plexiglass little plate. And again, we at CR did the same thing also, like it was in the designs 3 years ago. It's fascinating how similar design cues can kind of cross over from brand to brand, but it was really cool to see in person. I did see the Mustang GTD at Quail in 2023. Ford brought it out, and it was just, it was unbelievable. When I saw it, I go, yeah, this thing's going to absolutely crush 7 minutes, without a doubt. And sure enough, they did it back to back, because the first time people were crying, like, oh, they only beat it by a second. Well, it was on used tires, and the track was wet that day. So just to kind of prove a point, Ford went back on what is considered by all intents and purposes a perfect day to go on the track, minus just the overcast. So the video itself was really cool because it was overcast, but I think if you watch the onboard footage, the driver, I don't remember his name, he was absolutely in. And so the car kitted out. It was 3 seconds, I think, off that time, and it is still slower than a 991 GT2. I believe that did a 640 something. But that's again, the GT2 RS is extremely expensive car. This is a $300,000 Mustang. Now Ford also has to charge this type of figure just because it's a very, very limited edition car, and there was no tooling for something like this. Ford had to really completely start from scratch. So Porsche's margins, I think, allow for a car that can do 6 minutes and 40 seconds around the Nürburgring to also cost what it costs. Otherwise, they would probably be even more than what they cost. But the Mustang GTD, I think they set out to do 7 minutes because I think for that car, 7 minutes is fast. It's rare that you have a Mustang doing 7-second lap times at the Nordschleife. It's a 12-mile long track of just unbelievable racing. And so to do it in under 7 minutes, I think Ford absolutely smashed what their intentions were. The buyers are incredibly excited. I personally know a few, and I can tell you that the excitement is there, and the people are very, very excited to drive their cars, especially knowing what it's capable of. It's a really good thing that these numbers come out just ahead of customer deliveries, because customer deliveries are set to start pretty soon at the end of this year, maybe even sooner. Who knows? And so it's really cool to know what it's capable of. But back to the engine that I was talking about, it sits extremely low in the car. It has excellent weight distribution. When the hood is up and you look down, the engine sits very, very, very low, and there's a reason for that. It's all about just completely maximizing the aero and the balance. The balance on the car has to be perfect. It's very wide. It's got wide fenders. It's got massive brakes. You can tell by looking at the car that it's extremely capable. And so also having that rear mounted cantilever suspension, it's pretty cool as well. It's got these little shock absorbers with the external nitrogen reservoirs. I think Multimatic did all of the track engineering on the car. Multimatic, of course, literally builds race cars. They're their own company, but they are also behind projects like the Ford GT Mark IV, which is faster than the Le Mans winning car. They develop they develop race chassis. They manufacture race chassis. They manufacture race cars. They've worked for Ferrari. They've worked with BMW, Porsche. I'm a huge Multimatic nerd. I love that company, and to just tag team projects like this with companies like Ford. So what happened was Ford and Multimatic basically did the Mustang GTD together. They are also the reason that Ford's racing in GT3 at the moment. I'm pretty sure pretty confident that the GT3 race car is a Multimatic car. The Porsche was as well. If you guys remember the Porsche hybrid, I don't know what it's called. I think it still races, but they're doing all of that stuff, track testing the technology and winning championships with it. So they're behind that car. That's kind of where it all ties together. And for $300,000, you're effectively buying a car that can race at Le Mans, of course, in a different configuration and a slightly different configuration. But that's basically it. The engine sits real low. It's got big brakes, 6 piston on the front, 4 in the rear, I believe, maybe 6 also. I'm looking at the skeletal view. It's really cool. It shows the carbon fiber drive shaft, and then the rear is, I think it's got a transaxle. So the transmission's in the rear of the car. Again, for weight distribution, really, really cool. They do specify that it is a 50-50 weight balance with the 8-speed transaxle. So that's pretty darn cool. They already have the website updated with a target of clear. Oh no, they don't. This results in extremely responsive handling and performance with a target of clearing the Nürburgring's 73 turns and corners in less than 7 minutes. So they have not updated the website officially on Ford.com because they have smashed that record as of now. Well, That's our job here at AutoTalksUS, is uncovering the big news. The big news is Ford, ladies and gentlemen, has not updated their website to reflect the fact that they have achieved a massive milestone. We are going to do our job as enthusiasts to let them know. So we will let them know. But that's really cool. So moving on from that, yesterday we went to Cars Coverica. It's by far my favorite event in Dallas. The cars, the vibes, the people, the shoutouts, you know who you are. I saw all of my friends. You guys are the best. That was so cool. Yellow Ferraris, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so you got the GT3, the 488 GT, it was a challenge. The 488 challenge, a yellow Scuderia Spider, a yellow Pizda Spider, and then a yellow what am I saying? A yellow Speciale Spider. It's a friend of mine's car. The yellow Pizda Spider, and then a Scuderia, not a Spider. The Spider is a 16M. There was no 16M yellow convertibles there. Now, that would have been an impressive lineup. If there was a yellow 16M there, that would have been by far the most iconic Ferrari lineup that Dallas has seen in a while. What else did we have there? Oh my gosh. Upstairs, the lounge area, the treats and the snacks that they had, they never ceased to just turn up the notch on these events. Between the cars that they're able to wrangle last year, or no, this was 2 or 3 years ago, they had the one and only Ford GT90 that exists. Only one exists, and it was brought to that event. If you guys are interested in seeing that car, it's on my Instagram. You can scroll down a little bit and find it. What else? Yeah, I mean, gosh, Josh and his team and everybody else. I mean, I'm embarrassed to say I don't know the names of everybody on his team. Coverica's got a very, very impressive sized team, but I think most folks kind of associate Josh as being the runner of this thing, and so just what an event. Huge shout out to Josh. Josh.insurance on Instagram. You can find him just by typing in Coverica. Honestly, he's a pretty big deal in that sense. What an event. For me, the highlights definitely were the Ferraris. As I sit here, I was editing pictures from the event earlier and just kind of had to stop editing and just say, you know what, like, it's a good time to record the show right now, because all I've been looking at is just things that were unbelievable, and now we gotta talk about it a little bit. So the Porsche GT, what is it called? This was something that I was supposed to bring up, actually. I forgot about that. The Porsche tributes. Big fan of what's going on now with Porsche tributes in the world of just the world of whatever, car rebuilding, the new era of manufacturing, maybe. These companies that are doing it are fantastic. I mean, so there, I forget the name of the actual company that did this, but the car itself was a air-cooled 911 Turbo S, I think, or just Turbo. If they had a Turbo S back then, it was a Turbo S, but it's like a 1999, I want to say, or something like that. Maybe earlier. That was converted into a GT2 Tribute. So real GT2s, I want to say, cost in the, I guess, millions. To my understanding, haven't had the clientele of that caliber to really dive, I guess, into the GT2 world. But I think if we needed to, we could absolutely find the right car. But this was a GT2 tribute car, so by all intents and purposes, a replica. You'll never guess how much it fetched, or how much it's fetching currently. It is for sale at HCC Dallas. So HCC, of course, is a specialty house for all types of cars, but they are definitely specialists in the Porsche world. I don't know of any specialty houses that sell vehicles who are stocked full of classic Porsches like the HCC guys in Dallas are. So check them out. I'm actually going to put a link in the description of the show to HCC. They have a fantastic newsletter for events that they host. Their event, by the way, guys, also amazing. I had to miss that, unfortunately. I was taking care of my cat, so missed that event. I'm sorry, guys, but that was fantastic. I saw it on Instagram. A lot of people were there. Again, Porsches everywhere. So they brought this GT2 tribute out, And when I walked past it, it stopped me in my tracks. I was like, what did I just see? Did I just see a 993 GT2? Or I mean a 930? Is it 930 and 993? I always get these mixed up. Let me look it up really quick. 911, 993 GT2. The guys listening are probably like, Igor, you are so stupid. Trust me, guys. I know. I'm sorry. It's just with Porsches, there are way too many numbers. It is the 993 GT2. I did confirm. I looked it up. So when I walked past this thing, I told myself, I was like, am I looking at a real 993 GT2? I thought I was. And then, of course, I was told by the team that this was a tribute car, and it honestly did not impress me any less. I'm proud to say. Not proud to say. I'm happy to say it didn't impress me any less. Proud would imply that someone cares what I say. I'm happy to report that the fact that it was a tribute made no difference to me. I absolutely loved it. If you guys are interested in that car, it is definitely available, and it will probably be picked up pretty quickly. I don't imagine that something like this tends to stick around for very long on the sellers on the market. I can tell you this: if this was for sale, on IAP Consulting Solutions on our website, we would have had calls coming in all day long for something like this. So I strongly urge you guys to get in touch with HCC. Click the link in the description. Go visit their website. If it's not this car, maybe you'll find something else. Their inventory is nothing short of it's impressive to say the least. So yeah, I encourage you to just go take a look. But anyway, back to the show. So we were talking about the tribute car. I'm a big fan of what's going on in the world right now. A lot of companies are doing this sort of tribute, rebuild, reconfiguration, sort of homage type scenario. And I've been interested to see what people think. So if you guys are also kind of on the on board like I am, this is very cool. This is new in the automotive space where you can mass produce what was a iconic car at one point. Now, because let's step further back. Let's take custom builders. Chip Foose. That's the first that comes to mind, honestly. Chip Foose is fantastic. West Coast Customs, Gas Monkey. You're talking one-offs usually, and they're not based on anything from the past. They're usually complete custom jobs. What we've been really missing, I think, as enthusiasts was large-scale operations that were doing a new version of the same thing from the past, or converting something into a more iconic version, like this Porsche. The perfect example, honestly, is this Porsche, because it's just we all remember seeing them racing in the late 90s, early 2000s. These wide-body turbocharged Porsches that were spitting flames, and like it made sense to us. We were just like, that's what we picture when we want to talk about these cars and see these cars. That right there, that experience, that thing that just happened to us. That's exactly it. That's why we're all in here to begin with. So when you're sitting on these Porsches that have been kind of, I guess, in the garage for a few years, maybe 10 years, and you're really not sure what you want to do with it, you're like, dang, I mean, I hate to put miles on this thing. It's so clean, but it's also not, the craziest thing out there. So what you could do is, for a price, send it to another company that will then turn it into the most iconic version of that car. If you have a base model 911, and for 10 months or whatever, maybe even less, I don't know how long it takes, but you send it off. A couple months later, you get your car back, and it is it's basically the version of that car that won the most iconic races around the world. And you're sitting there looking at it, you're like, how is this possible? How was this my car 10 months ago, and now it's got this big wing, big brakes, nice wheels? It's fundamentally turned around for a fraction of the price, because the car that you were dreaming of is now worth millions, the actual car. How are you going to do that? It's not practical to basically just, live your whole life just kind of having that dream out of a fear that it might be frowned upon to do this kind of conversion type deal. Make no mistake, if you're not planning on reselling the car, do it. You are going to be more happy. The car is going to drive better. You're going to have more fun. People are going to look at it and love it. If you do not care about what other people think and you do not care about what the resale value might be in the future, it's all speculative anyway, do it. This is for you, and this is about you. Now, here's the thing. You don't want to do it the wrong way. I'm not advocating to go the cheapest route, and I'm certainly not advocating to go and use, Alibaba parts and that sort of thing. I'm talking about sending your car off to one of these specialty companies that specialize in that sort of thing so that they can do it for you. That's what we're talking about here. You of course, I mean, we like to preserve as much as possible of the authenticity of automobiles these days. It's classics are going to be kind of come and gone for the most part. It's getting very expensive to maintain classic cars nowadays, so definitely be careful as far as doing full body conversions and things like that. Make sure reputable people are actually chopping up your car and putting these body kits on them and doing the interior work and matching up the seats to make sure that they are true authentic seats that would have came in said XYZ race car. But that was a boring tangent. I apologize, guys. I wanted to bust a myth, which was older low mile cars versus well-maintained daily drivers, if that makes sense. So myself, I'm personally a really big fan of cars that were made in the mid 2000s, so 07, 08, 09. Maybe not 09, but 08 is a really good sweet spot. And then even several cars after that, 2013, there were some fantastic cars. What I don't like is all the new ones nowadays. So the topic was, and I was debating a couple of people at a car show about, because these guys are leasing their Cadillac CTS-V. It's one of the brand new ones, and he was talking about there's no way in hell you could convince me that if I had the same budget, I would have more fun and have a happier, kind of more simple life with an older car that made the same amount of power and stuff like that. So I was bringing up an example of building a 700 horsepower Corvette Z06 from, let's say, 2003, right? Everybody likes a C5 Corvette. So the conversation was basically centered around, would you be just as fine having a lot of money in a 20-year-old Corvette compared to a $1,200 monthly payment and a warranty on your new CTS-V? There's just nothing about these new cars that grabs me. I don't feel like I would every month having to pay $1,200 to the bank. Oh man, that just kind of hurts. And it's brand new. I don't think that they're really that exciting. It doesn't give me much. So really, I was kind of making the point, look, I mean, if you had 80 grand you wanted to play with, you could definitely throw it at a new car from the dealership, but you could also very easily go pick up a 20-year-old Corvette. And then spend the rest of the money making it by far the nicest thing that anyone's ever seen, and you will have an absolute blast. It would be the cherry of your life. It would sit in the garage, all blah, blah, blah. And then when it's time to go, it's time to go. It's fast. It makes a ton of power. Balls to the wall, everything like that, for the same amount of reasonable investment from you financially. So that's kind of where what you plan on using the car for is going to really come into play. If you're leasing a CTS-V, that implies that you're not modifying the thing. You can afford to have it as a daily driver that you're going to put miles on with the intention of just returning it later. So you're not eating any of that real depreciation. And I think that's why a lot of people like the lease option, but we are car guys. We can't just have something stock. We have to mess with it. We've got to take crap off and put crap on and make it faster, make it shinier, make it look nicer. And so it always just in my mind made sense to go older, to one, preserve the car, and two, make it your own at a lower cost, essentially. So there was that. I think consignment traps can also be kind of a big thing. Like, and I don't want to switch gears like that, but like, let's say you're getting out of a car and you've got your eyes set on something that's like significantly newer. You almost don't want to run the risk of that car being sold out from under you. So naturally, you're going to be like, all right, how do I get this cash? All right, boom, I'm going to put my car on consignment with somebody, and that's going to get me cash quick. It's never quick, guys. Consignments can take several months because what you're doing is you're actually looking for the perfect buyer. You're not putting a car on a dealership floor at the price point that everyone's putting them at, which is why they sell so quickly. Your consignments are basically procurements for the seller on the flip, on the 180-degree side. So we're actually going in, instead of the buyer usually finding the car, we're actually finding buyers. And so, like, you have to be ready for that, I guess. And I don't know why we started talking about that. I was like, jumping from car to car is tough nowadays. I think that's why my brain wanted to talk about that. Is like, if you've always just been driving older cars and you want to start driving something that's a little bit newer, you have a little bit more limited options because trade-ins are effectively dead now. I think people only trade stuff in for the tax credit if there is one that's usually tiny, so never really worth it as far as I'm concerned, because you could always you could sell your car privately and make that difference anyway. But yeah. So higher mileage old cars, I'm cool with them. You're gonna do work anyway. You're gonna replace stuff. If the budget allows, of course. If the budget doesn't allow, it becomes irrelevant completely. But if your budget allows, you can definitely make older cars much more equitable value to you than, say, a 2022, Corvette. I don't know. What else? There's a lot of cool stuff coming up in Formula One. First of all, big news, ladies and gentlemen. Big news. Oliver Oakes has departed. I can't believe we haven't talked about that earlier. So Oliver Oakes was the Alpine, what do you call him? Team principal. And all of a sudden, he just ups and resigns. Well, we find out it's because his brother's been arrested on some sort of money laundering charges. And so he booked it, Oliver Oakes, as in he booked it somewhere like to Saudi Arabia or something. Now, all of this is just what I've read online. I'm not like speculating anything. This is just what I've read, that he took off. And Flavio Briatore, who we love, we all miss Flavio tremendously from the past. He was just such a iconic character in Formula One, and so he is now stepping in with Colapinto. Y'all remember Pinto, right? Franco Colapinto from Williams is now stepping in, and he will be racing for Alpine with Jack Doohan's departure. Jack Doohan, of course, only after 7 races, or maybe even 6 races, is out. They are not happy. He is out. Franco Colapinto is in. Oakes has been arrested, I believe. He either left or he's been arrested. I do not know exactly what's going on. There's a ton of stuff going on around around Christian Horner. No one really knows what's going on. So this is from GrandPrix.com. When Oakes suddenly resigned as Alpine team boss this week, speculation immediately began that he would be headhunted to replace Horner at Red Bull. Curiously, the story is even being run at Österreich, a newspaper that is close to Red Bull's F1 advisor, Dr. Helmut Marko, who were at the center of the leadership turmoil of 2024. And none of this makes sense to me. So, however, another strong theory as to why Oakes suddenly quit Alpine has emerged at the exact time that he fled to Dubai. With his older brother William, they were the lead figures at the Formula 2 high-tech team with recent historical ties to Dmitry and Nikita Mazepin. So, as you all know, Nikita Mazepin, of course, is the son of Dmitry Mazepin. He's a billionaire out of Russia. Russia's at war with Ukraine. There's a lot of stuff going on there with sanctions and such. So, I think some violations of sanctions happened. I'm not exactly sure, but that's what this article is making it look like. Transferring criminal properties, possession of large amount of cash. Oosh. Oh no. So that's the team principal of Alpine. Obviously Alpine is not doing great right now with their boss being wrapped up in this. Yikes. I wonder what's going to happen. I'm excited for Imola. Imola's on the 19th, which is next Saturday. That's going to be fantastic. And then, of course, we also have a track day next weekend at G2 Motorsport Park, so stay tuned for that. We're going to be there taking pictures again. Maybe get a couple ride-alongs. Who knows? But it's going to be very exciting. On a boring note, not really so much boring, but just this sucks. My car started shaking very violently, and now pretty much every 5 to 10 minutes on the highway and coming, especially driving around the street, every time I come to a stop, the car just overheats. So we're going to be taking it into the shop. Thank God I can work from home. I'll be working from home while that's getting fixed. Just it's one thing after another, guys, but definitely excited for next week where it's just more racing, more Formula One, more good things. We are, I believe we have a photo shoot coming up as well. We're going to be shooting a Ferrari here pretty soon. That's going to be extremely exciting. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be shooting the Ferrari, I think, in the city. So we're going to be scouting out some locations for that. Just kind of underground vibes, looking for maybe factory type settings. Yeah, a lot to think about there. It's been a while since I've had a proper photo shoot. Definitely getting back into the photography game. It's been a little while since I've really put true time and effort into imagery and photography. So we're going to be doing more of that again. But yeah. You guys, that was another episode of Auto Talks US. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you next time.